Good morning, everyone. Dan Bates, President and CEO, Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, and we are really happy to see you joining us here for Coffee and Conversations. Today, we have a really terrific presentation. I can't wait to hear it from Brandon and Maddie about 17 Strong. So they'll bring you up to date. I think they're both from Department of Neighborhoods and oversee that whole initiative that has done amazing things in Hamilton. So the protocol is we are on Zoom. If you have a question, I'm sure that Maddie and Brandon will not mind if you interrupt them to ask a question. If you're on Facebook Live, type the question in, and I guess it would be Tiffany or Laura will repeat that question so that we can get it answered. And so we're going to find out who all of you are. You know who I am. And now let's get started. Tiffany, you want to get self-introductions?
Yep, so if you could just state your name and the company you're with, we'll start with Rusty Allison. We'll come back to Rusty. Zach Bohannon.
Morning, everyone. Zach Bohannon, Butler County Field Representative for Congressman Warren Davidson.
Great. Jennifer.
Good morning, Tiffany. Thank you. Jennifer Pierce with Modern Psychiatry and Wellness. We offer behavioral health services throughout Butler County and beyond.
Great. Jessica.
Morning, I'm Jessica Valentino. I'm with First Financial Bank. I'm the district leader for the Hamilton and Oxford areas.
Thanks for being with us today. Ben.
Morning, everyone. I'm Ben Cornish with First Financial Bank. I'm the Financial Wellness and Community Engagement Officer for the bank.
Awesome. Nancy.
Good morning. I'm Nancy O'Neill with the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce.
Rusty.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rusty Allison with Advanced Online Insights.
Great. And Laura?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Laura Merrill with the Greater Hamilton Chamber.
Great. And we're going back to Dan.
Okay, let's get started. Just to let everybody know, this will also go on our YouTube channel when this is over. So if you want to, in the future, share this with somebody or refer to something that you may have missed, you'll have the opportunity to do that. So, Brandon and Maddie, up to you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
All right. So my name is Brandon Saurber. I've worked for the city of Hamilton since 2011. I'm a lifelong Hamiltonian, and this is my favorite city on planet Earth. I'm joined by my friend Maddie Watkins, and before I let her introduce herself, I just want to say that, so much of the great things that are going on in the city have their roots in external perspectives. So I think it's great to have the passion of folks who are from here, but it's taken a lot of folks in the private and public sector who are not from Hamilton to really help us find out what we can really be. So even though Maddie is not from Hamilton, she's got a background in journalism and television news. I call her Television's Maddie Watkins. So Maddie, tell them who you are.
Well, I feel like you just did. So I am Maddie Watkins. I started with this city not even a year ago, which is kind of crazy. I feel like I've been involved with the city for like all my life and not at the same time. I don't know. It's kind of fun. But it'll be a year next month. I started as the public communication specialist. I still am. I started in the Department of Neighborhoods. Now I'm with the city manager's office, but I still do all the things that I can for the Department of Neighborhoods. We're a team here, so that's what I do. So yeah, but I love it here. Yeah. Thanks,
Maddie. So we're here to talk about 17 Strong. I gave a presentation earlier this year at the Fitness Center that I think some of you may have been in attendance at, and I talked really high level and more of the philosophy behind 17 Strong. And we're certainly going to touch on that. But in this presentation, I want to take the opportunity to drill down into a little bit more of the nuts and bolts, kind of how we came to be, et cetera. At its core, 17 Strong, the fundamental belief is that a more connected Hamilton is a safer and cleaner Hamilton. How that manifests itself in real life is that, if we're more connected within our community to our neighbors, we're more accountable to them to keep our properties clean. We are more likely to reach out to them about things that concern us about our neighborhood, or the aspirations that we have for our neighborhood. So to be able to reach that kind of Maslow's hierarchy, peak of self-actualization or community actualization, it's really important that we are connected within our communities, between those communities, and then from them certainly back to their government at all levels. So what's unique about the city of Hamilton and how we approach this neighborhood organizing, community organizing thing is that there's a sense of altruism that has existed. There's a sense of resilience that Kathy Klink really, she's kind of our guiding light in this, former council member, longtime superintendent of Lakota schools prior to that, and Hamilton native, personal hero of Maddie and I's. This altruism runs a little counter to maybe other types of neighborhood organizations, in that our primary aim is to connect, not to protect. There's this common thing in community organizing sometimes, that their roots and their mobilization is rooted in NIMBYism, is an acronym that's used sometimes in city planning circles. It's an acronym that stands for Not in My Backyard. And there are certainly things that can be catalyzing events that do help to bring people together, and we welcome those. But 17 Strong, in this sense of altruism that sort of guides us, is that bridge between those peaks and valleys that exist. The other thing is resilience. We've certainly encountered many failures in this neighborhood organizing effort that we've been taking on for now the last 12 to 13 years. And again, I attribute that to Kathy Klink. There's been this spirit of this work is too important to give up. So now we're pretty firmly settled into what this thing is of 17 Strong, and look forward to telling you a little bit more about it. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say in this introduction that this is an internationally recognized initiative. The International Economic Development Council put forth a handbook on the best practices of inclusive community development, and 17 Strong was represented within that document. We've won awards at the state level as well through the Ohio City and County Managers Association, and we're really proud of this work, and hope to dig in and tell you a little bit more.
We've gone to several cities to present 17 Strong to them, because they want to do the same thing in their neighborhoods. So it's been great.
Yeah, I think this presentation is based on one that I had given to another Southwest Ohio city. All right, moving on. Maybe. There we go. So what is 17 Strong? I do want to draw a minor distinction between 17 Strong, the movement of a more connected Hamilton that I talked about, and the 17 Strong Advisory Board, which is a board of 12 residents. They are the only committee of city council that receives funds, and those funds go to directly to the micro grants, nano grants, Love Your Block grants, and things that we do to try to build and empower these communities that I'll talk about a little bit more. Again, our core belief, the word connection is really important. More connected Hamilton is a safer, cleaner, and stronger Hamilton.
So there are several ways that we can connect with the residents of Hamilton. The first is obviously through social media. If you haven't liked 17 Strong Hamilton's Facebook page, please make sure that you do. I'm going to put a fat plug in there. We post all of the events that we have coming up, things that we just kind of want to show the residents that we're doing. Things like different micro grants that we have, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So we do social media, of course. We have the monthly minute. So if you're subscribed to our digital newsletter, which we'll give you all of that at the end. But each month we will send you like the top 5 or 7 things that we have going on that upcoming month. So at the end of June, we'll send you an email with all the things that we have coming up in July.
And those are specifically geared toward residents, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Things that you should know about, between like whether that's hydrant flushing, because I mean, everyone needs to know about the things that we're doing within this city that could impact your neighborhood. to events that we have coming up. So, I mean, it's a wide spectrum of things. We connect through resources. So we have the Cube, that's what we call our traveling billboard. You might see it just parked in different places throughout the city. That's where we keep all of our like equipment, but we also bring it to different events that we go to. We keep all of our cleanup stuff in there. We do a lot of cleanups here with 17 Strong. We have microgrants, we have Love Your Block when that comes around, I think once or twice a year. And we just get a group of residents or volunteers. You don't even have to live here. We get together and we help clean up our neighbors' houses. There's like an application process and stuff, but I love Love Your Block. And then obviously we connect with each other. We try to connect all the different neighborhoods to each other, to like different neighborhoods. So yeah.
Great. I think there's a great resource that we don't have on this slide that is the My Hamilton 311 app.
Oh, yeah.
And if you spend any time in Hamilton, I would highly recommend that you download that app. It's the best way to get anything done in the city. Our department kind of handles the QA/QC on that. And there's categories from potholes to streetlights that are out to properties in poor condition that you can submit, take a photo, attach it to the address, and you then get a request number that we can then follow up on and make sure that we are responding, communicating, and resolving those issues to your satisfaction.
So this is just an example of some of the different events that we've had just in 1 year alone. I mean, take a look at it. It's pretty impressive. Before I started, I don't think I really understood just the impact and everything that 17 Strong is a part of. So, I mean, we have Hamilton Joe's night. We do obviously the summit. We have several cleanups and cookouts. Love Your Block is on there. We have the celebration breakfast. We have coffee with council. We have movies in the park. So this was from a few years ago, I think, but that's just an example of 1 year, all the events that have taken place. So it's pretty impressive. So these are some pictures. This is from Coffee with Council. We actually just had our first one a month ago, where we invite all the council members to a local park, and anyone is welcome to attend. We'll bring coffee, and we typically just have one like organization that we partner with, and they come out and talk about their organization. And it's just a way for residents to interact with council members. The last one that we had, we brought out the Hamilton Run Club, and I'm not a runner. A lot of the attendees weren't runners, but they still felt like they took something away from it. So that's the goal of it, is just kind of going outside of your comfort zone and just learning about all the different things that you might not know we have here in Hamilton. Our next one is in July.
Not the next slide.
No, sorry. The next Coffee with Council is in July, and we are actually doing it with the Lindenwold Litter Patrol, which, I mean, if you go to the next slide, that's what you'll be doing. They clean up, they go out every month and they clean up around the Lindenwold neighborhood. I mean, there's probably like 10 bags in the back of the truck, and I don't know, it just, when we get to go out and clean up your neighborhood, it's just empowering and makes you feel better about what you're doing.
Sure.
So this is Love Your Block. This is, like I said, a bunch of different people can get together, whether it's pulling out weeds or planting flowers, or I think this one they painted the wrought iron fence. So it's just a variety of different things that you can sign up for and volunteer and just help out your neighbors. These are community field days. So in the summer months, we normally have them at each park. We just bought a bunch of different games for 17 Strong. So we have like kickballs, we have wiffle ball, we have pickleball, bocce ball, we have like cornhole. The idea is just to bring all the kids in the neighborhood together, the families in the neighborhood, and just get out and have some fun and be active. So this is Art in the Park. If you've never heard of it, it started out as a micro grant. Some teachers got together and they wanted to help out their students that are in a neighborhood. And remind me, it just like,
Yeah, this is one of like our favorite stories.
Yeah.
Robin Zeri was a teacher at Fairwood Elementary, and her and one of her fellow teachers, Casey Copeland, they were worried about the summer slide and their students in the North End neighborhood. And at this one park in Mosier Park, they set up Art in the Park. They applied for a grant, did it throughout the summer. It then, you know, they were coming back each year, and they were kind of growing into 2 and maybe even 3 parks, to where eventually we were like, this is such a great story and having such a profound impact. How do we start to amplify this? And the Parks Conservancy got way more involved, and this is when Steve Timmer was leading the parks. 17 Strong eventually seeded a fund for them at the Hamilton Community Foundation that they've used to now grow, I think, upwards of like 7 parks citywide. So just a great story. And would these teachers have been able to do that? I think that's one thing we ask ourselves at each of our annual retreats in 17 Strong is like, if we were gone, who would miss us? You know, would these things have been able to get off the ground or take place, but for the resources and connections that we can provide?
yeah, it was like a kickstart to Art and Park, which is what we know now of it. So it's a really cool story.
This is Charlie right here.
Yep.
She's the daughter of one of our 17 Strong advisory board members.
She is 17 strong.
She is, yeah. She's like, you know, Xander might be the mascot, but Charlie really is she's the spirit animal.
Yeah. So we have movies in the park. I think we just had our first one on May 4th. We showed Star Wars. We have some planned. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but that gives me an excuse to talk about the 17 Strong calendar. We do have all of the events, all of the movies in the parks that we have scheduled to date on there. It's just a really good time, and we bring out our own equipment. We have a huge projector that we can show some movies on, and we'll have popcorn, and it's just a good night for families. Social mixers. We have a lot of social mixers throughout the year. We had our first one this year at Third Eye. And it was just a great turnout. I feel like every social mixer, we just have so many different neighborhoods represented. All the residents just come and have a good time. It's just a good chance to mingle with neighbors. And we have Arnita Gunn. If you don't know her, she is the selfie queen. Yeah, it's a great time. And then we try to participate in all the parades that take place here in Hamilton. This was from 4th of July. We are walking again in the 4th of July parade this year. Xander will be riding in the car. So if you're not doing anything and you want to participate, we are always taking people to walk with us. I think, so this is actually Carlos Silva and Xavier Silva. Can you see him? So that is Sarah Silva. She's here in the Department of Neighborhoods. That is her family, and Xavier doesn't look very happy, but I promise it is a fun time. This is a crowd that we had last year at the 4th of July parade. So yeah, you can see all the smiling faces. It's just a great time to show your Hamilton pride and walk with your neighbors.
There's Charlie.
There's Charlie, yep. We also participate in Hamilton Pride. We have Juneteenth. Juneteenth last year was a micro grant, I believe. So we just try and get involved with all the different community events and organizations that take place here in Hamilton.
All right. Any questions so far? Happy to keep going here. All right. So how did 17 Strong come about? Back in 2011, 2012, City Council had just hired our new city manager at the time, Joshua Smith, and he and that very visionary city council set forth a pretty bold vision for the city of Hamilton. At the time, these were dark days. In the depths of the Great Recession, you know, the city of Hamilton's and any local government's revenues lag the broader economy. So we didn't hit bottom financially, for instance, in the city of Hamilton until 2013, 2014, maybe. But with this very visionary council, city manager who functions as our organization's CEO, and not a lot of resources to do it. So I was the staff liaison, and Kathy Klink, who I mentioned earlier, was the council liaison to one of the 4 pillars. And that was the We Create a Sense of Place, the Sense of Place Committee. There are a lot of great things in that particular pillar of the strategic plan that have since come to fruition, like expanded downtown living, increased activity on the riverfront, et cetera. But the one thing that was in that plan that didn't require resources was this neighborhoods initiative. So we looked at each other and we said, okay, we've got this visionary plan. This component just requires legwork. This just requires us to pound the pavement, find those unique sources of pride and concern that exist in the different corners of the community, and work on building some infrastructure around that. Guiding values from day one, we had one early involved board member. His name was Butch Hubble, and Butch Hubble was very active in the BTW Community Center, was raised in Hamilton 2nd Ward, and he made a very early point to us. He said, you know, that river has physically and psychologically divided this city for a very long time. The last thing we should do is draw more lines. So we were like, wow, you know, we had to sit with that for a minute. So this kind of guiding principle from the beginning was celebrate, don't separate. You know, there are certainly concerns about setting up this structure, but there are concerns about not doing that as well, that there are very unique aspects of the different communities that exist within the city of Hamilton. And if we can't provide a platform for them to celebrate what makes them unique, then we're missing a big opportunity here as well. So that celebrate, don't separate became a very important kind of early call for us. Obviously, support, don't dictate, should be resident-led, not government-led, and that diversity makes us stronger as a community. 3 types of neighborhoods. This is where my planning nerd side comes out. You know, when we were looking at the neighborhoods of Hamilton, we're looking at the historic plat maps and subdivision maps and things like that. And we realized that if every subdivision were to become its own neighborhood in the city of Hamilton, we would have 300 or so neighborhoods, which, based on our research looking at other cities with neighborhoods infrastructure, we realized that a sweet spot for Hamilton's size and population would be between 15 and 20. So we had to put some parameters around what do we call a neighborhood? And we said that a neighborhood has to have a mix of uses. It can't just be a residential subdivision. It has to have parks and public spaces. It has to have institutional buildings like schools, libraries, government buildings, and it has to have a commercial component, commercial industrial component. So we set up the structure, helping to define what a neighborhood was, really narrowed in. So those subdivision identities that exist were not supplanted by their 17-strong neighborhood identity. They are just what the name implies. They're a subdivision of that neighborhood. And then we then kind of classified the neighborhoods into 3 types of neighborhoods that have different types of built environments. So traditional neighborhoods are built largely prior to 1950, like the neighborhood that I grew up in Lindenwold. They've got corner stores and parks adjacent to residences. They're on a rectilinear street grid, which is just a fancy way for saying north, south, east, west, basically 90 degrees. The urban neighborhoods are basically just more dense versions of traditional neighborhoods and comprise what most people would refer to as downtown Hamilton. And then suburban are built largely after 1950, mostly separated uses, winding streets, and cul-de-sacs.
So we have 3 committees within 17 Strong. So we have the 17 Strong Advisory Board, which those are those 12 residents. And there are some of these advisory board members are also chairs of these 3 committees. So we have the Microgrant Committee, Communications Committee, and Outreach Committee. So you have the chair, obviously, which are board members, but then anyone who is a resident can be part of these different committees. So microgrants, if you don't know already, yes, that's the financial support that 17 Strong is able to give to residents who apply for a Kickstarter event or a project where they want to clean up something, beautify their neighborhood, anything like that. They can range from $500 to $2,500. So there's a lot of flexibility within that. And we have so I think this year we had like 25 microgrants that we were able to award. Communications, that's exactly what it sounds like. We communicate everything out to the public. So we create the flyers or social media. We'll take pictures, and all of these are like posted on 17 Strong. We also do like the movies in the park, things like that. The outreach, they handle all the fun events. So social mixers, they're a huge part in getting those organized and planned and scheduled. And then they also do like
Coffee with council.
that's communications, yeah.
Okay.
So outreach also has, oh, they are the ones that purchased all the fun games. So yeah, they're the fun committee, I would
Yeah.
say.
The other thing is these three committees do align with the slide that Maddie showed earlier, that we want to connect people to information,
Mhm.
communications, resources, microgrants, and to each other, outreach.
Yeah.
So we built a bigger table. How do we get folks to take their seat? This kind of gets to more the philosophy of 17 Strong. You see the shirts, they say, "We is greater than me." We truly do believe that many hands make light work, and that applies to a city as much as any other effort. But we go to a lot of these neighborhood meetings and we hear about all the different ways in which a community or our city or our state, our federal government or the world could fail, right? I mean, it's all of these words and more. But we really, in our heart of hearts, believe that the only way that we succeed is together, that humans evolved to be the predominant species on planet Earth, not because we're the biggest and the strongest and have the sharpest teeth, but because we've evolved to work together to solve problems. So that is the only way that we have adapted and overcome. And we really believe that's the only way that we're going to succeed going forward. So finally, just a plug, and we've got folks here on the call who are going to be at the second annual Hamilton Neighborhood Summit, which is going to take place at Hamilton High School this year. Our sustaining sponsor is First Financial Bank, who will be talking about how banking builds community and the path to home ownership in one of our breakout sessions. Ben and Jessica, who are on the call here today. I saw that Jennifer's here from Modern Psychiatry and Wellness. So Dr. Moss is going to be on a panel that's going to talk about holistic approach to health and wellness with folks from like the YMCA, and Stephen Roller from Primary Health Solutions, and Brooke Wells from our planning department. So we're so excited about this. This is something that we had planned, the neighborhood summit. We started talking about this years ago because Hamilton used to go, and representatives from 17 Strong had been going to the Cincinnati Neighborhood Summit for a number of years. And all the folks down there had all the 52 neighborhoods from Cincinnati on their name tags, and we were the ones that had other. And we always had a strong contingent, and we always aspired to be able to do something like this kind of mini conference that works to connect people to the different ideas and ways in which they can improve Hamilton. So last year we were able to do that for the very first time at Miami University, Hamilton, and it exceeded all of our best expectations. So the theme of this year's summit is how do you do? It's very intentionally missing punctuation because it's like a double entendre. It's a greeting and it's also instructions, right? So a lot of these breakout sessions are going to focus on how do you do? So we're really looking forward to this year. It's expanded participation. Last year, I think we had about 240 people. This year, we're expecting 300. So just super excited. Anything I missed on the summit?
No, last year it was my first. So I went to the summit before I even officially started with the city. And now this year I'm actually presenting. So it's kind of come like full circle. But the summit, I mean, that was my first really deep look into Hamilton. And after that, it just like, I mean, I was so excited to just start and like get into the neighborhoods and the community. So it's just, I mean, you leave feeling so inspired and just empowered and proud of Hamilton. Like we said earlier, I'm not from here. I do have family who's from here. And I think, I mean, I'll be honest, I think years and years ago, they are still kind of in that mindset of there's nothing here. But I think we have done such a good job at changing that narrative. And I mean, the residents here and the people that work to just help Hamilton, it's awesome, and I love it so much. And yeah, it's great.
Any questions?
There is a question in the chat. Let me get back to that. So Jennifer from Modern Psychiatry is asking, where can the applications be located for grants? Are there annual application deadlines for the grant process?
Yes, there are. So the micro grant program, which is sort of our feature program, that application process has come and gone for the year. There's the Love Your Block program that opens up on June the 16th. And then we will do those kind of volunteer work days in the early fall. So keep an eye out for that. If you know someone who's interested a little bit more about Love Your Block, we aim to kind of do some curb appeal type improvements, landscaping, minor paint and fix, to 3 to 5 houses within visual proximity of one another. We spread them out too far, we lose that impact. So, you know, really focusing on concentrating that, and what that really is a celebration of the front yards and front porches as a space that community is built within these neighborhoods. We've seen that this program has torn down barriers that existed between neighbors and asking for help. And we really think that's a really powerful outcome of that program. Another grant program that's kind of running concurrent to all this is our Nano Grant program. So every year we partner with one of Hamilton's elementary schools to do nano grants, and those are maximum $500 grants. And we take 5th graders and we present to them about grants and some of the things that other children their age have done in the past, and encourage them to come up with ideas to make improvements to their neighborhood and to their parks and things like that. So that is a really inspiring program, but we kind of limit that to 1 building per year. And this year we are working with Linden Elementary on that. So they start in the 5th grade, and then the grants are done in the 6th grade, which is their last year in the elementary school buildings. So Jennifer, I hope that answered your question. And for future
kind of a
reference,
okay.
oh, sorry, just I should have said this. For future reference, we have 2 primary events that exist within 17 Strong. The summit is certainly one of them. It happens around mid-year. The other happens at the very beginning of the year, and that is our celebration breakfast, where we celebrate the prior year's grants and use that to kick off that year's grants. Yeah, so typically in the early part of the year is when we're kicking off our grant application process. Go ahead, Nancy.
Oh, it's just kind of a dumb question. I want a me is greater than we t-shirt. Are you going to be selling them at the summit?
Hold on, you said me is greater than we.
Oh, we is greater than me.
I mean, I
I'll
know
make my own
you are
t-shirt.
really
No.
great, Nancy. Yeah, so those, you know, we definitely have some to hand out to some of our key volunteers, and you can also get them at Unsung Salvage.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks.
Well, if there are no other questions, I really hope to see everyone at the summit. Just to kind of whet your appetite, in our opening session, we're going to hear from Dr. Andy Durjai and Marnie Durham from Miami University and Butler Tech, respectively, talking about the Advanced Manufacturing Hub. Some of the other sessions: engage in local leadership, how citizens like you lead Hamilton. Community super volunteer Cinnamon Trokin is going to lead a panel to discuss how people are leading in different boards and different volunteer organizations. We've got our most popular one last year was Shamana Curtis, presented on how do we energize and engage today's youth. She's got a youth panel that's largely comprised of kids from the CHIPS program. So that was a very popular one. I mentioned the one that our friends from First Financial are going to be leading about path to home ownership and how banking builds community. Robin Zeri from Art in the Park is going to talk about you know, kind of the evolution of that. John Gaduli from the foundation and a bunch of other folks are going to talk about funding local events and how that happens. And I could go on and on. We're going to have our first bilingual session, building economic empowerment and Latino entrepreneurship in Hamilton. Jose Contreras, who works at Baden High School, is going to lead that. I think included on the panel is another First Financial employee, Cassie Stevens, who has built a lot of relationships with the Hispanic community here in the city of Hamilton. So we're so excited. We really hope you guys can be there. Tickets are going fast. I think we're down to maybe the last 30 or 40 tickets. So get out there today and buy your ticket. You can see the URL right there, 17stronghamilton.org/summit.
Yeah.
And let us know if you have any questions.
So I know a lot of the neighborhoods have their own individual meetings to discuss things that go on in those neighborhoods. Where do we find some of that information, and what other information is on the 17 Strong website?
Yeah, so our calendar is always kept up to date. You know, even up to the minute cancellations you can find on there. We do a pretty good job of keeping up with that. But you can track on the calendar on the website where the cube is. If you want to go volunteer for an hour picking up trash, you can find out which microgrant activities are happening. I think we've got like 5 or 6 going on this weekend alone. And yeah, also the neighborhood meeting. So for instance, on Thursday, German Village's meeting, looks like the Dayton Lane meeting has been canceled, but yeah.
I think like 12 neighborhoods meet on like a regular basis.
I think it's around 10.
10
of the 17 meet on somewhat of a regular basis. But we always stress, like, meetings are not a measure of success. How we measure success is the connections within the neighborhood, not how many meetings you have.
Yeah. You can also on the website reserve the cube. So if you are thinking of doing a cleanup, but you're like, I don't know if I can get like 10 people together to participate, if maybe there's just like a block in your neighborhood that you want to clean up, we do have a like reservation form on the website where you can reserve the cube, and we will get you all the equipment and tools that you might need to do that cleanup.
Yep.
So it's just kind of more at your own pace and just kind of do it on your own type of thing.
So who would be responsible for putting like neighborhood events and things on the app? Would that be you, Maddie, on the Explore Hamilton app?
On the app,
The app that the chamber has, Explore Hamilton. Yeah, Dan, that's a good reminder to us to get that stuff on there, especially the micro grants and events and stuff that are happening. Yeah, let us huddle internally. Thanks for that.
Okay, yeah, because I don't see much on there, and you know, we have several thousand people who've downloaded it now. So
Sure, yeah. I think sometimes, you know, maybe we just get in our head that that's more for the larger events, but if we're going to drive folks to that as a resource, we should put even the neighborhood events in there as well.
works for us.
So if someone has some questions, what is the best way to contact someone?
Yeah, if they have further questions for us, you can send an email to neighborhoods@hamilton-oh.gov, and that goes to all the staff of the Department of Neighborhoods. So one of us will definitely reach out.
There's also a 17 Strong that email address that goes directly to the board, the advisory board. If it's something that you want to like participate in, or you have a question about for the board specifically, it's 17strong@hamilton-oh.gov, and they will receive your email too. I think we have another slide.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Oh,
we have a couple.
There's the picture from last year's summit, just to give you kind of some perspective there in Parish Auditorium.
There we go.
There we go. And the Friends of 17 Strong, that's a fund that exists at the Hamilton Community Foundation, kind of outside of the microgrant funds, but those funds go primarily to fund the 2 events, the celebration breakfast and the summit, so that all of the funds that the board gets can go toward microgrants and directly toward making an impact within the community.
All right, does anyone else have any questions for Brandon or Maddie? You two have done a great job. Thank you for being with us today.
Sure.
We will be
We'll
back
see you
for
at the
our,
summit.
yes, we will see you at the summit. What time is the summit? I don't think you told us.
So on Saturday, June the 22nd, registration will be between 8 and 9. Oh, Dan Bates also is on this call, and he's going to be a big part of a session. I think he led a session last year. So registration is from 8 to 9. The opening session is from 9 to 10. The 2 breakout sessions are 10 to 11 and 11 to 12. Then we'll have lunch. And based on last year's recommendation, folks were like, we weren't ready to leave.
Yeah.
So we've added 2 micro sessions on the tail end of lunch that are going to be much more tactical, kind of 20-minute intensives. So I think, Maddie, you're going to lead a session about
promoting an event or getting started with an event, like submitting your permits and making sure just that you're spreading the word and how to do so. And yeah, that's what I will be chatting about.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll go a little bit past lunch, I think up to 1:30. But
yeah,
generally 8 to 9 to 1:30.
Perfect. So if you need your ticket, I guess you need to hurry up and hop on the website and grab a ticket or two for anyone who's interested in finding out more about what's going on in the city. 17 Strong is an amazing initiative. So we're super excited about that. Like I said, we'll be back on June 25th for our next coffee. We'll be back here on Zoom. We always resource these. They're on our Facebook page, and they're also on the Greater Hamilton Chambers YouTube channel if anybody ever needs to go back and resource any of these videos. So thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Maddie. We appreciate you being here, and
Thank
we
you,
will
guys.
see everyone in a couple weeks.
Take care.
Great
Thank you.
information. Thank you.
Thanks.